Hey, I'm Daniel Snyder from Seeking Alpha. Joining us today is Nakul Duggal, Senior Vice President and General Manager of Automotive at Qualcomm. Nakul, welcome to the program.
Morning, Dan. Good to be with you.
Amazing. We just had the news about Qualcomm completing the acquisition of Arriver. And now we have this news about Qualcomm and Stellantis entering into a partnership, which is huge news. So can you explain how this partnership was a no-brainer for Qualcomm?
Yeah, it's great when a strategy that you put in place starts to work and starts to play out as expected. For us, the digital chassis strategy that we've had now for the last couple of years is actually working out exactly as we expected. We've been leaders in the telematics space for over 2 decades. It's something that comes naturally to us. We've built out an organic infotainment business where we supply to pretty much every automaker on the planet today. And as we started to focus on autonomous driving and ADAS, we felt it was very important for us to also be a player in the stack. That is why the Arriver acquisition. If you think about this from an automaker's perspective, the complexity that automakers are facing today in terms of selecting technology partners, in terms of securing their semiconductor supply, there are very few companies that have the breadth of investments, the scale of the business, the rich IP that is required to be able to actually last in the complexity that automotive has become. And so we have built very deep, very strong relationships with many different OEMs. Stellantis, which is really a merger of Fiat Chrysler and Peugeot Citroën DS automobiles, has been a partner of ours for several generations previously. As those companies came together and they started to look at who their right partners would be, we were clearly a very strong choice for them. And I think it helps to have delivered on multiple occasions in the past. The track record has been great. So we are really looking forward to this partnership with Stellantis.
Yeah, Nakul. I can't blame them. Everybody looks at Qualcomm. You guys have been industry leaders for so long. Now, I do want to touch on Snapdragon, the digital chassis, which you mentioned. It's a complete game changer, right? The automotive industry is moving into a new era with continuous over-the-air updates and connectivity. So can you explain what this new technology is and how it will enrich the lives of the consumers?
Yeah, so the way you want to think about this is, if you think about electrification, the major shift that is happening for automakers is it gives them a brand new canvas on top of which to rethink the new car architecture. Electric vehicles are going to last much longer than combustion engine platforms have. But more importantly, they're going to have a much longer useful life in terms of the revenue generation possibilities that automakers can imagine off of an EV platform. It's going to have many different incarnations. What that means is you have to be able to think about the hardware that you're deploying into this platform very differently than how you have imagined it previously. We are now looking at new architectures that are hardware upgradable. You will have architectures that resemble more of a blade architecture where you can actually remove and upgrade the electronics that you're designing for the vehicle. The software that is being designed will be abstracted from the hardware so it can be updated independently. You will have processing which will be domain independent in that you need to be able to have the flexibility of being able to run any kind of workload on any kind of underlying processing. This is a brand new approach as compared to what even 2 or 3 years ago was still a very conventional, very domain-centric approach that automakers followed. And we have shifted our roadmap, we've shifted our investments to really be aligned with the way that these new car architectures will evolve. So for us, it's become very important to make sure that the platform that automakers are building has hardware and software capabilities that are very aligned with the way that we are envisioning our roadmap. Because we have the ability to invest very broadly in the IP that we develop, whether it is software, core technology IP that goes into SoCs, or the overall hardware architecture, we can do this now in lockstep with the direction that automakers are taking. They're influencing the roadmap and the investments that we are making. And so we are in some sense co-designing what we call the digital chassis with a number of lead automakers.
Yeah, and you guys have been complete, earth-shattering whenever you develop platforms, whether it was, years ago bringing the mobile phone to the internet, or now in 5G technology. You're implementing this technology now to bring AI and 5G connectivity into vehicles. So that being the case and being the innovative leaders that you are at Qualcomm, could you just share with us where you see this automotive experience going into the future?
So, there was a time, I think not even 4 or 5 years ago, when people would ask the question, hey, what's the killer use case for 5G in a car? And I think if you ask that question of yourself again today, I think what has happened is that the automotive ecosystem has realized that the car being connected to the cloud is really a complete game changer in and of itself, in the sense that the car platform that automakers are investing in has to be able to generate a considerable amount of new revenue, new services business, new software opportunities for automakers. This requires really a combination of a number of things that come together. The architecture of the vehicle becomes software first. And when I say software first, what I mean is that the applications that are running on the vehicle, whether they are consumer facing or for the car, will be continuously updated. There is going to be machine learning and machine intelligence at the edge, providing continuous feedback over to the cloud so that new software updates can be made. And this is being done today by a number of different customers of ours. Now, the architecture that an automaker has to deploy to be able to go support their fleet of vehicles is very different than a traditional architecture that they've had. You have to be able to collect data continuously. You have to be able to learn from the data, train new AI networks, be able to go download new networks, have the hardware at the edge that will support that new capability. So significant amount of new thinking is going in terms of how the new car architecture is designed. That requires a tremendous amount of cloud infrastructure, a lot of over-the-air updates, and a chassis at the edge that is harmonized, that is heterogeneous, that allows you to be able to have a lot of predictable behavior at the end of the day. And that's the overall strategy that we are marching towards. And the wins that we are announcing, the awards that we are receiving are based upon all of those pieces actually being in place as part of our core strategy.
Yeah, Nakul. I mean, I know a lot of investors that we have here on Seeking Alpha are definitely excited to hear that, because we hear about the growth of Qualcomm, and even the other week we just spoke to Akash, right? And we were talking about the Arriver acquisition and the increase in the dividend, and it just seems like you guys are a horse that is not slowing down anytime soon. So let's go ahead and leave it there, Nakul. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you, Dan. Good to be with you.